There's a book, I'm going to put it up there. It's called The Way of the Shepherd, 7 Secrets to Managing Productive People. It's actually a business book. Kevin Lehman and William Pintack put this book out in 2004. William Pintack interviewed Ted McBride, and some of you may know who Ted McBride is, a respected CEO. And McBride is actually the source of the material of the book in a real kind of way, and yet he's not at all. So basically, Pintack spoke to McBride in an interview, and he said he got this information from one of his mentors, who was quite an eccentric but brilliant professor that he doesn't name. But the principles, he said, are ancient, and they come from a shepherd. So I think that's quite interesting, that one of the ideas in business management today comes from shepherding sheep. And so let me walk you through these really quick. I'll just give you those 7 ideas. Number 1 was know the condition of your flock. Proverbs 27:23, be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your flocks. So in that, he suggests you should follow the status of your people as well as the status of your work, not just the work, but the people too, and get to know the flock, the sheep. Get to know them. Spend a little time with them. Engage your people on a regular basis. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Ask questions. Follow through. The second thing was discover the shape of your sheep. It's an interesting term, and I'll explain that in a second. Exodus 12 and verse 5, your lambs shall be without blemish. So he suggests your choice of sheep can make flock management much easier or can make it harder. You should start with as healthy a sheep as you possibly can, and when they're not healthy, work on that deeply. And in that, he talks about know the shape, S-H-A-P-E, the shape of your sheep. And he says what you're supposed to look at, and this is the people you work with, take into advantage and know their strengths. That's the S. Know their strengths. Know their heart. That's the H. Know their attitude. That's the A. Know their personality. That's the P. And know their experiences. That's the E. So know the shape of your people, or the shape of your sheep. It's interesting. And then thirdly, he says, help your sheep identify with you. So you're going to lead them. They need to know who you are. John 10:14, I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep and am known by my own. That was just read to you. So he suggests that you should build trust by modeling authenticity and integrity and compassion. If you are the person you should be, then you should set a high performance level yourself, and they should see that you are really integrated into what's going on. So relentlessly communicate your values and your sense of mission to them, and they will start to attract to that. So define the cause for your people and then tell them how they fit into solving that issue. And remember that shepherding is not just professional, it's personal, that there's a relationship that goes on between the shepherd and the sheep. Fourthly, make your pasture a safe place, he says. John 10:11, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. Going to take care of them. So keep your people well informed. He says infuse every position with importance. Treat them like everybody matters. Cull those who are constantly instigators of trouble in the flock, and regularly rotate the sheep to fresher pastures. Give them fresher ideas. Reassure the sheep by staying visible. Don't just be gone and they never see you. Don't give problems time to fester, but rather address their fears, their rivalries, their pests, their concerns, their sicknesses as fast as possible. You begin to see this actually would work in a business, doesn't it? And so the next thing he said was the staff of direction. John 10 and verse 4. He brings out his own sheep He goes before them, and the sheep follow them, for they know his voice. So know where you're going and get out in front and lead. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And when directing, use persuasion rather than coercion. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Give them freedom to move, but let them know where the fences are. There is a limit. Don't confuse the boundaries, though, with bridles. They have to have some freedom. When your people get in trouble, go and get them out of that trouble. And remind your people that failure isn't fatal. It's a part of life. So that's what a shepherd's staff is for. But more, he says, number 6, he says the rod of correction. And Psalms 23, verse 4, your rod and your staff comfort me. Interesting that things like that would comfort you. Well, here's why. Shepherds protect with the rod. They stand in the gap. They fight for you. They correct with it. So approach discipline as a teaching opportunity, he suggests in that book. And then shepherds inspect, which means to regularly inquire about what they're doing. If you expect, you must inspect. And then finally, the heart of the shepherd, John 10:15, I lay down my life for the sheep. And he suggests by that is shepherding is a lifestyle, not a job. So you guys who are thinking about becoming an elder, this is not a hireling position. This is not like a regular job. You're going for an interview to attain to a position like that. Shepherding is not about a staff or a rod. It's about a man's heart. And shepherding is a case of a man who values the flock. There it is. And would be willing to pay the price for it. That's from that book. That's interesting. But to take the whole thing, I just thought it was interesting that you'd take the idea of shepherding and put it into business management. Don't you think that's interesting? I don't think that's what we're about, but I think it's an interesting concept. I want to look at 3 ideas today, just 3. The protocols of a good shepherd. What are the protocols? If you have your Bibles open, reread with me, if you will, or you can read what's up there. John 10, 1 through 6. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold, I'll explain that in a minute, what the sheepfold is, because you may not be aware of that. Enter the sheepfold by the door. There was doors to sheepfolds. But climb up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. Only thieves and robbers go over the wall. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him, the doorkeeper opens. So you have somebody that watches the door, locks it, and may stay with the sheep at night. And the sheep hear his voice. The sheep are ready to go as soon as they hear him. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. So as soon as the doorkeeper opens, they're ready to come. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them. That means, remember what we talked about last week? The shepherd doesn't follow the sheep. The shepherd leads the sheep. He walks, calls, they follow him. And the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Verse 5, yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of a stranger. Jesus said this illustration, but they did not understand the things which he spoke. How often does that happen? You teach something, and nobody understands what in the world you're talking about. Happens a lot, actually more than you might realize. So a good shepherd knows how to protect his sheep by sheepfold. That was a walled-in area. They put the animals in at night, and it wasn't a little wall. If it was a little wall, the fox, the animals would climb over. It's a big wall. It's almost like a house. They put them in that, and they keep them at night, and they'd have a door on it. A guy would stay with them and lock it, just in case something did make it over the wall. So that's a sheepfold. They protect their sheep. The shepherd doesn't always stay there all night, but the doorkeeper would. The shepherd knows how to call his sheep by their names. You got to know who your people are, and you got to know their name. And the shepherd knows how to lead by his voice. Now, you may remember, talked about this a little bit last week, that sheep can't see very well, and we'll get back to that in a moment. So they go by hearing. That's why it's so important to speak to them. They recognize the voice of the shepherd, so they don't see too far ahead of them. Says something about us, maybe, I don't know. But so those are the protocols: to protect, to call, to lead. Second lesson. the purposes of a good shepherd. What are the things he's supposed to accomplish? Verse 7. Excuse me. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. It's just leftover drainage. Verse 7. Then Jesus said to them again, most assuredly I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. Verse 8. All who ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. Verse 9. I am the door. Second time he says that. If anyone enters by me, he's like the door of the sheepfold. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. Okay. Verse 10. The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and destroy. That's why thieves come. I've come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Why would someone steal a sheep? To steal it, yes. Maybe to have a sheep, possibly. To kill the sheep, real possibility there. And to destroy it, yes, absolutely. So maybe just to tear down what you've got. So a good shepherd gives these things because this is his purpose. Protection. To prevent the sheep stealing. That's an important thing. And you may think, well, what does that have anything to do with church? There are people all the time trying to steal sheep. You don't know that. You don't know that people try to sway you away from here? Happens all the time. We have it all the time. Not some of the time, all the time. There's always somebody thinks they know what's right, and the rest of us are not too smart. We haven't figured it out yet. Don't know that you're actually being duped, that this is not really a great church, that the great church is out there. Let me tell you something about that great church out there. It's just like this one, except it's got a different set of problems. There it is. Quit thinking somebody's discovered, mercury. No, not the case. Second thing is pasture. They give pastures. That means to prevent sheep killing. You got to protect the sheep from being killed too, folks. And then you got to give them plenty. It says give them abundance. Sheep need to be able to eat pretty much all day long. They'll eat it all the way down to the nub. So the marks of a good shepherd is they follow the shepherd's protocols and then they follow the shepherd's purposes. But let's go one last point. It's going to be hopefully quick for you here today, but I got something at the end for you. John chapter 10, verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. Verse 12. But a hireling, he who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming. Oh yeah, you can see him coming. Sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf catches the sheep, scatters them. That's not what a shepherd does. Verse 13. The hireling flees because he is a hireling and does not care about the sheep. Verse 14. I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. Verse 15. As the Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. That means he takes on the wolf. 16. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. That's interesting. Them also I bring. That's you and me, by the way. You do know that, right? Let's talk about you and me, us Gentiles. We're the sheep that were not of that fold. Them also I will bring, and they will hear my voice. We hear his voice. Amen. And there will be one flock and one shepherd, praise God. Verse 17. Therefore my Father loves me because I lay down my life that I may take it again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This is the command I received from my Father. This wasn't an option. This was a command. You picked up on that, right? He was commanded to do this. There's an interesting thought, isn't it? You thought he volunteered? So a good shepherd is willing to risk to face the wolves. How much? His life. His life. Good shepherd's willing to sacrifice to save his sheep, whatever it takes. And a good shepherd's willing to die to have other sheep. That's interesting. More sheep. So these are the marks. The good shepherd, follow the good shepherd and see his passions. Those are the passions. He really is passionate about this. I know you think you know what elders are like. If you ain't been one, you don't. You can go to that class all you want in Dwight's class, and you will not know what it's like until you are one. You will not, because it's never the same. And every single elder has a different experience. There's no such thing as two elders having the same experience. That just doesn't happen. Well, we're all a member of the same eldership. Oh, well, you think you've experienced everything the other ones have. Oh, no, you haven't. It's all different. And if there were 1,000,000 shepherds right here, I guarantee every one of them's got a different experience. Every one of them. It's not going to be the same. So quit thinking I got it figured out. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's like ministry. I got it figured out. I know what it's like to be a minister. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because I haven't figured it out. And I've been doing it nearly 50 years. So no, you don't. So you may think that sheep, and then I'll get into the eldership because I know so much. I know so much. And I'll be a good shepherd because I know so much. And the sheep don't know stuff, and they need to be guided. And you may think that sheep aren't that smart. That's not true. They're actually pretty smart animals. I know that comes as a shock. I thought they were dumb. I was told years ago they weren't too smart. That's not really true. It's not true at all. In fact, I've done a little research. Research indicates they have respectable cognitive abilities. They have strong facial recognition. They get up close to you. They know exactly who you are. They've seen you before. They don't care what you dress like. You can grow a beard, whatever. They know who you are the moment they see you up close. And then if they hear your voice, they really know you if they've known you at all. They problem solve. That sounds crazy for sheep. They recall complex tasks. Very good at that, actually. They exhibit emotional intelligence. They form social bonds. They experience fear, joy, and grief. Kind of like a dog. But sheep are far weaker and far more vulnerable than almost any animal that we raise. There aren't a lot of animals weaker or more vulnerable than they are because they're so visible. You can't miss them. And so predators find them easily. But they're very short-sighted, and as a result of that, that makes them extremely weak because something can creep up on them pretty easily. So I want to talk about, though, shepherding. One last thing, and then I'll be done. Doug Bender. Doug Bender, as a church planter, he's a preacher, and he's a blogger. I want to read his blog, and then that'll be pretty much the end of the lesson, okay? I don't do this very often, so I don't read too much. I'm not good of a reader, so that's part of the reason. Not like David, that's good reading. All right, here we go. A few years ago, I bought some sheep and became a modern shepherd. And as odd as it sounds, I've learned some simple and vital truths through my sheep that helps me brush away some of life's weight. I had my sheep for about 2 weeks when I learned the truth of this quote from Jesus. Every day, multiple times each day, I feed my sheep. I give them hay and top off of their water. But for the first couple of weeks, my sheep never came near me. Then one day, they were at the top of the hill, chewing on some grass, when I came calling. They heard me, and something inside them had changed. They had learned from my daily feedings that I was actually their caretaker and a member of their flock. So this day, when I called, they ran to me. They leaped and jumped for joy. They let out loud baas, calling back to me. They ran full speed toward me, not away as if their life depended on it. That picture of them running with absolute and genuine joy is forever stamped in my mind. When Jesus said, "My sheep listen to my voice," this is the picture he had in mind. It's not like a dog that comes if you yell loud enough, or a child that comes if they decide they want to. This is like a sheep. And when they hear the shepherd's voice, they come full of joy and anticipation, trusting the heart of their shepherd to care for them. I now know I can run to Jesus like that. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. I also have heard this line from Jesus countless times as I grew up in church, but I didn't understand its true essence until a pack of coyotes came through my farm. I was in the kitchen doing dishes. I had shorts, a t-shirt, and socks on. It was winter and dark, and the ground was wet with rain. And I heard in the distance the sound of a pack of coyotes. It's a loud and raucous sound full of ferocity and raw energy. And I had in my field my flock of sheep with 2 newborn baby lambs. Instinct completely overtook my body. I dropped the dish in my hand and jetted out the door in my socks. I ran through the mud, the rain, and the cold, but never felt a thing. I had no real pain. I only had pictures of wild coyotes eating my baby lambs, overwhelmed my imagination, and I ran past my woodshed where I picked up my axe on the way. I didn't know what I would find when I reached the top of my hill, but I was ready to throw my body and my axe into the middle of it. But when I got there, I could see my fence had held. No coyotes had gotten in, and my lambs were safe. Jesus said he offered his life to save ours. But I often wonder if it was a chore for him to do this. Did he prefer not to, but somehow felt he needed to? But now I understood. I ran in my socks in the mud and the rain with nothing but an axe to face a pack of wild coyotes. And I did this without a second thought. Why? Because I love my sheep. And that's what a shepherd does. The Lord is our shepherd. We don't need to worry. Walk through a dark valley. The Lord's given himself for us. If you dare, and I mean it just the way I'm saying it, if you dare take on becoming a shepherd, you got to have that same instinct. The only thing that matters is the sheep, not you. We don't need any stars. We don't need any star elders. We need to take care of the sheep. There it is. And we ought to love each other that way, that we drop everything for the one next to us. That's what he did. He dropped it all. Ran with abandon to a cross. Would you not want to follow a Lord like that? If you haven't given your life to him, this is a perfect opportunity. Won't you come while we stand and while we sing?